registration meeting that is scheduled for today, which is Thursday, March 11th of 2021. If we could please have the roll call to see who is present.
Okay, Chair Dan Cron.
Here.
Board Member Ed Brown.
Here.
Board Member Judith Nowers.
Here.
Board Member Mary Shrubin.
Mary, if you are calling in, the way to unmute yourself is *6, and then to remute yourself is *6 again.
Mary's here.
And Mr. Chair, would you like to mark David Scott as absent or excused for now?
Excused for the moment, and then what we'll do is whenever he calls in, we'll mark him as present. Because I think that there are some questions that were raised previously that we might be able to work our way through while he is getting back on.
Okay.
So let's see. I think, first of all, welcome everyone to this meeting. And I think the next matter of business is an approval of the agenda. So I'm assuming that everyone had a chance to look at the agenda. That was part of the email that Teresa sent us. And would anyone like to move to approve the agenda? Oops, we don't have audio.
You have to unmute yourself.
This thing keeps muting me. So I don't know what's wrong with it, but
Hello, this is Mary.
Okay.
Do we need to unmute every time we want to speak?
Yes, it's good. It's sort of good Zoom practice to mute when you're not talking so there's no background noise, and then unmute when you want to speak.
So what's
Okay.
to mute? What's the code to mute?
I believe it's *6 when you're on the phone.
That's
I think-
unmute.
But it's both. It's back and forth, mute and unmute.
Right.
Oh,
Okay. So let's see. I think we have people unmuted here, and so let me go back to the previous question. Is there a motion? Does anyone have a motion to either approve or disapprove of the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Is there a second?
second, Mary.
Okay, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? No discussion appearing. Then let's call for a vote. All those who are in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, the same sign. The motion is unanimously carried for the approval of the agenda. So the next thing that we have on here is the review of the list of eligible voters as required under New Mexico statutes annotated 1978, section 1-4-28, subsection E. Now, before we have discussion on that, my recollection is that there were some questions that people had that staff was going to track down. One of the things that I remember specifically is there were some questions about what some of the designations were.
This is David Scott speaking. That was my question, and it's really pretty much immaterial. I was just curious, but it's not really important to me.
Okay, well, let's see if we have a quick answer to that.
So you should have all gotten an email with the political parties that are listed in New Mexico. And I'm not sure if you've had time to look at that. I sent that a few minutes ago.
Oh, okay, okay. I had not seen that, but I didn't particularly have a question. Does, in light of that email, is there anyone who still has a question about the designations that are under the column on the list that we got, the column that's designated as party? Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay.
No, I was just amazed at the number of political parties we have in the state.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move on to a discussion in terms of the review of the list of eligible voters, were there other things that other questions that people had that we had asked staff to look into?
This is Mary. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had a question about the date of the Postal Service list that we used for comparison. Did we have to find a date for that, Teresa?
So I asked Maggie Toulouse-Oliver about that, and she said that once the purge process starts, the Postal Service list is not updated so that people wouldn't get lost in the shuffle. So once the process starts, then only if they themselves either update through MBD or have some interaction with their address, that address is static and doesn't
Okay, so I don't quite understand what that means.
Meaning that
So
they don't, when the purge process starts, we don't update using the USPS information. So the list is not, so essentially we wouldn't change their address in the middle of the purging process, essentially.
Mary, was your question, when did the Postal Service give us the list that was actually used? Was that your question?
That is my question.
So it would have been before, whenever the date of the initial purging process started, when that sort of became the official deadline, then the U.S. Postal Service list has not been updated since that time. Maggie did not know exactly what day, but it's that once this sort of cutoff happens, the list has not been updated.
And who determines that list? Each county or the Secretary of State?
Secretary of State.
Okay. So that list would have had to have been before August of last year,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And so that implies, and correct me if I'm wrong if you know this, you don't have to know it, that the list from the Postal Service is a dynamic list that's constantly changing, and that we don't make a hard cut off of it and get a static list from it to compare to. Is that correct?
That's actually not my understanding. My understanding is that once our cutoff date is when this process starts. So they may have a time in which there's an updated list. So I know when they converted over to service, they did try to do a postal service matching. We're doing postal service matching through NBD. We're doing postal service matching through online. But I think that's a separate process than us continuously getting postal service data. I know that we are part of the national database to try to get better voter data. So if someone moves to another state that's participating in ERIC, then we will get a ping saying they have signed up via ERIC. And I know that the Postal Service is giving data to ERIC. but I don't think that it's a constant stream between us and the Postal Service in the way that the Secretary of State is constantly getting updates.
Okay. That helps a little. I guess I just need to explore this whole area a little bit more. I have a similar question about ERIC because I have, in my research on ERIC, I was not satisfied with the methodology that they used to produce lists, and our comparison to it seemed to me questionable because of the quality of their data. So that's something that I'll pursue with Catherine later.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's see, Mary, in terms of your questions, setting aside what you're going to address with Kathy later, are your questions answered to your satisfaction at this point?
I think it's the best we can do at this point because of the transient nature of the databases and our lack of information from the Secretary of State of exactly when she made the match, or whether it was an ongoing match over some period of time before she produced the card. So, but that's a procedural question that I don't think should impact the quality of the data in the list, because these people still showed up as inactive and,
Yes.
and should be purged. My concern is that there should possibly be more of them rather than fewer. So because of the timing issues between the matches, right?
Well, we have very high turnout in Santa Fe County, so that's one of the reasons why the list that we have produced is so small. Because and also people are now using the online voter registration a lot more frequently. So I think the list becomes smaller and smaller as people have more and more opportunities to mark themselves as having moved or moved out of state or moved to a different county. Especially since now we have, they're actually prompted to register when they go to motor vehicles. So I think, you know, as time goes on and when we have high turnout and we also have many opportunities to update your voter registration, this list will be quite small.
That would be good. More people registered is wonderful.
Yes, we like that. We want people to have updated voter registration.
Okay, Mary, so it sounds as though at this juncture you are satisfied that you have as much information as you can get right now concerning your question.
Yes.
Were there any other matters that that people had that they wanted to raise before we talk about the review of the list? Okay, I don't hear any other issues arising. And so let's move on then to the next item. And I'm not sure exactly how D&E, how they're separated. But does anyone else have any more questions about the list itself? Okay, none appearing. Let's move on then to the question of the board's direction to the county regarding the cancellation of the registration of the voters on this list that everyone received pursuant to New Mexico statutes annotated 1978, section 1-4-28E. is there a motion that someone would like to make that we adopt the cancellation list and direct the county clerk to cancel the list of inactive voters that we all received?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Okay, and is that David?
Yes.
Second from Mary.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that the list of cancellation of inactive voters, that be adopted by the Santa Fe County Board of Registration, which is us, and that we direct the county clerk to conduct the cancellation pursuant to that list. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that issue? Okay, it appears that there is no discussion. So let's go ahead and put that to a vote then. All those in favor of the motion to adopt the list of the cancellation list of inactive voters and directing the county clerk to cancel those inactive voters from the voter rolls pursuant to New Mexico statutes annotated 1978, section 1-4-28E. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. That motion has been unanimously carried. And so, Ms. County Clerk, that is the decision of the Santa Fe County Board of Registration and their direction to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there any other business to be conducted at this time?
Just one comment, Dan. You're doing a great job chairing our committee.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been the president of some nonprofit boards, but that was in the past, so I had to dust off my my memory on conducting these meetings. But I appreciate your comment.
I second that motion.
Thank you.
So what I would need from all of you is to come into the office either today or tomorrow, anytime, and let me know when you're coming to sign a certificate. This has been completed.
It's how
Okay.
we officially notice the Secretary of State with a certified, with all the signatures, and then send it over to her office.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, does everyone understand that they need to physically show up at the clerk's office to sign the document that we give to the Secretary of State?
Yes.
I do.
So you would need to contact me, Teresa Tencio, so I could make sure to have the door open if you're going to come at other times besides 10 to 2.
Okay, does anyone have any questions
Okay.
about that procedure?
Yes, one more question. Should we bring our list in for you to shred?
Sure, could shred that for you.
Okay.
And then also we'll probably have a brief meeting for you to go over the minutes for the last meeting and today's minutes so that you could just approve those minutes if anything needs to be changed on those.
Okay, and will we get an email from you, Teresa, on that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right.
It would be good if we wouldn't do it Tuesday or Thursday mornings.
Okay.
That's ski time.
Oh,
We hope that you have plenty more snow for a long time here.
Looks like it's going to be a really bad few weeks. You know, they keep predicting storms. You know, we're supposed to get hit Friday, Saturday with a foot. That dissipated, and then there's another storm coming in for a couple inches, maybe. Not real good. If they stay open till the 4th of April, I'll be really surprised.
Wow.
Okay, does anyone else have anything that they want to raise before we adjourn?
I just have one question. You're open 10 to 2, is that right?
Yes.
Our office is open from 10 to 2 for appointments, but if you can't make those times, I can accommodate those other times.
Okay.
We are basically in the office 8 to 4:30, but our sort of office hours are 10 to 2.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions or anything they want to raise before we adjourn? None appearing. Do I have a motion from the floor to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
For a second.
I second it.
I second the motion.
Moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All those, is there any discussion on that? No discussion appearing. We'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, the same sign. Okay, so the meeting is hereby adjourned. Thanks to everyone for your attendance and for your attention to the details of conducting our duties as board members.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I know.